Formula One has a problem so serious, drivers are losing up to 50 kilometers per hour, while going full throttle, and it's happening every single race. No warning. No mistake. Just sudden deceleration, at over 300 kilometers per hour. And it already nearly caused a major crash. Max Verstappen says it doesn't feel like Formula One anymore. Lewis Hamilton says fans won't even understand what they're watching. And now, multiple drivers are pushing back against the FIA itself. Because this isn't just a rule change. This is a system that's taking control away from the drivers. A system that's changing how racing works, at the highest level. And what you're about to hear explains why the 2026 regulations are pushing Formula One to the edge, faster than anyone expected. Subscribe now, because this situation is only getting worse. At first, it didn't look like a crisis. It looked like every other regulation change. New rules. New complaints. Drivers adapting. Teams finding solutions. That's the cycle Formula One has followed for decades. But this time, the pattern broke. Because the complaints didn't fade. They grew. And more importantly, they started to align. Different drivers. Different teams. Different philosophies. All pointing to the same issue. Something isn't working. And here's where it becomes impossible to ignore. Because the data began to reveal something no one expected. On a single straight, the same car could lose over 40 kilometers per hour, without braking. Not between laps. Not because of traffic. In the same run. That changes everything. Because Formula One is built on precision. Every input has a predictable result. Throttle equals acceleration. Lift equals deceleration. Simple. Reliable. But now, that logic is gone. Drivers are going flat out. And the car is deciding something else. Slowing down. Recovering energy. Acting against the driver's intention. And that's where frustration turns into anger. Because drivers can accept difficulty. They can accept a car that's hard to control. But they cannot accept a car that takes control away from them. And this is the moment where everything shifts. Because now, drivers are no longer just adapting. They are reacting. They exit a corner perfectly. They commit fully. They push the throttle down. And suddenly, the car stops delivering. Not gradually. Not predictably. Abruptly. Like a limit they didn't choose. And here's the detail that changes the entire dynamic of racing. Drivers are now lifting off the throttle earlier than ever before. Not to prepare for a corner. Not to manage tires. But to avoid losing speed later. Think about that. The fastest drivers in the world, choosing to slow down on purpose. Just to prevent something worse. That goes against everything Formula One represents. And it creates a chain reaction. Because when one driver lifts early, the one behind has to guess why. Is it strategy? Is it a mistake? Or is it the system? And in that uncertainty, gaps become unpredictable. Closing speeds become inconsistent. And drivers lose their reference points. This is where the real danger begins. Not just high speed, but unpredictable speed. Because in Formula One, drivers rely on consistency to react. Take that away. And you take away their ability to trust what's happening around them. And that's exactly what is happening now. Trust is disappearing. Slowly, but clearly. And once trust is gone, everything else starts to fall apart. Because a driver who doesn't trust the car will always leave a margin. And that margin costs time, costs positions, costs confidence. So now they're trapped. Push fully and risk the unexpected. Or hold back and lose performance. Either way, they lose. And that realization is what's driving the backlash you're seeing now. Because this isn't just about speed. It's about control. And right now, control is slipping away. But then, the problem went further than anyone expected. It didn't stay on the straights. It didn't stay predictable. It moved into the most critical parts of the lap. High-speed corners. The places where drivers commit the most. Where instinct takes over. Where there is no time to think. And suddenly, even there, the cars started behaving differently. Imagine entering a fast corner. Flat out. Everything feels normal. The grip is there. The balance is perfect. You commit. No hesitation. And right in the middle of that corner, the car loses speed. Not because you lifted. Not because you made a mistake. Because the system forces it. That's what drivers are dealing with now. A sudden drop. 20, sometimes even more kilometers per hour, in the middle of a corner. And this is where things become truly dangerous. Because in a straight line, you can react. You can adjust. You have space. But in a high-speed corner, there is no margin. The car is already at the limit. Any unexpected change can break that balance instantly. And now imagine another car right behind. Using you as a reference. trusting that you will carry full speed through that corner. Just like every Formula One car always has. But this time, you don't. You slow down. Unexpectedly. And the driver behind has no time to react. That's the real risk. Not just speed, but unpredictability at speed. And Formula One has spent decades trying to eliminate exactly that. But now, it's built into the system itself. Fernando Alonso explained it in the simplest way possible. There are moments now where it doesn't matter who is driving. Anyone would go the same speed. Because the car decides, not the driver. And that idea changes everything. Because if the driver is no longer the main factor, then the entire foundation of the sport starts to shift. But here's where it gets even more frustrating. Because drivers can feel it, but they can't fight it. They can't override it. They can't outdrive it. No matter how talented they are. No matter how aggressive they push. If the system says slow down, the car slows down. And that creates a new kind of pressure. A different kind of frustration. Because this is not a weakness they can fix. It's a limitation they are forced to accept. And that's exactly why the tone inside the paddock is changing. Because drivers are no longer trying to adapt quietly. They are speaking out. More directly. More openly. More urgently. Because they understand something critical. If this continues, it won't just affect lap times. It will affect trust. And once drivers stop trusting the car, they stop pushing the limit. And when drivers stop pushing, Formula One stops being what it's supposed to be. But this leads to an even bigger problem. One that goes beyond performance. Beyond frustration. Beyond control. Because fixing this might come at a cost the sport isn't ready to accept. And this is where everything becomes even more complicated. Because fixing the problem is not as simple as changing one rule. It sounds easy from the outside. Adjust the system. Remove the issue. Move on. But inside Formula One, it doesn't work like that. Every change affects something else. Every fix creates a consequence. And right now, those consequences are massive. Take the most obvious solution. Increase energy recovery while the driver stays flat out. On paper, that solves the sudden slowdowns. The car keeps its speed. The unpredictability disappears. But here's the catch. That changes how the cars deploy power. It changes acceleration. It changes overtaking. And suddenly, the competitive balance shifts. Teams that built their advantage around the current system could lose it overnight. And that's where the tension begins. Because not every team wants this fixed the same way. Some teams are struggling with the system. For them, this is urgent. They want change immediately. Others have already adapted. Their cars manage energy better. They suffer less. And for them, changing the rules now means losing everything they've built. So what started as a safety concern is now turning into a political battle. Teams protecting their position. Drivers demanding change. And the FIA, stuck in the middle, trying to fix a problem without breaking the championship. But time is not on their side. Because while all of this is being discussed, the races keep happening. The same issues keep appearing. Cars still losing speed. Drivers still adjusting to something unnatural. And every lap adds more pressure, more urgency, more frustration. Meetings are happening constantly now. Engine manufacturers involved. Technical directors pushing their own solutions. Different ideas. Different priorities. No clear agreement. Because the deeper they go, the more they realize something uncomfortable. There is no perfect fix. Some solutions reduce the problem. Others shift it somewhere else. Some improve safety, but reduce performance. Others maintain speed, but keep the risk. And that forces Formula One into a difficult position. Because this sport has always lived at the extreme. Maximum speed. Maximum precision. Maximum control. But now, those three things are no longer aligned. You can have speed, or you can have predictability. But having both is becoming harder. And this is why the situation feels so unstable. Because Formula One is trying to solve a structural problem. With temporary solutions. Small adjustments. Short-term fixes. But the core issue is still there. Built into the design of the system itself. And that creates a dangerous gap. Because the problem exists now. But the real solution might take much longer. Maybe even until the next generation of cars. And that means drivers are being asked to deal with this in real time. Race after race. Lap after lap. Knowing the system isn't fully under control. And that's exactly why the backlash is not slowing down. It's growing. Because drivers understand something very clearly. If they don't push now, nothing will change fast enough. If they stay quiet, the system stays the same. And they are the ones taking the risk. Every straight. Every corner. Every lap. So the pressure keeps building. Not just on the FIA. On the entire structure of Formula One. Because this isn't just about one regulation. It's about how something like this made it to the track in the first place. How a system with this level of unpredictability passed every simulation, every approval, every test. And that question is starting to make people uncomfortable. Because if this was missed once, what else could be missed again? And that doubt might be the most dangerous part of all. Because now, it's not just the cars being questioned. It's the process behind them, the decisions, the system itself. And once that trust is shaken, everything changes. Which leads to the final question. If the foundation is being challenged from within, can Formula One really contain this? Or is this backlash about to turn into something much bigger?